guys, to yet another episode of Whoreible Decisions.
Don't do this.
What? We have a white person in the building yet again.
The token white person.
Wait,
here.
y'all know I love doing that, but also we also just talked about how actually dope you are and not really like everyone else, so we'll get into that. But before we do, I'm your girl Mandii B, a.k.a. Pet the Stallion, a.k.a. Pagan Markle, a.k.a. Mandy Baskins, a.k.a. Deadbeat.
Mandy loves to go with her pegging AKAs, but she claims, oh my God, I don't even do that anymore.
I mean, I'm trying. I ain't gonna hold you. I've been traveling a lot. And do you know how much I've been traveling? So much so to where every time, I don't even take it out now, my luggage, the strap is there. Because it's nothing to buy a dildo, but straps be like 80 to 150 for the good ones. And mine has like the Velcro. Mine just hug my thighs.
Is it like
right.
blinged out?
It's not blinged out, but the last time that I was in LA, the guy that I peg, and I really enjoy pegging, I didn't have my strap. He came over. He didn't bring the last dildo we bought. It's nothing to really purchase a dildo, right? And I was just like, bro, I don't have my strap. You could just stay home. It was pointless to even see him. So now, because I don't want to experience that again, I literally do not take the strap out of my luggage.
Strap, no love.
You know, there we go.
That's a good one.
Well,
my name is Weezy, and I would say it's the same for me, but maybe with my charging pack. I just leave that in there. The fuck? Nina's toys. I'm trying to think, though, like...
You're such a mom. Not you saying my dog's toys.
It's true.
I
Your
know.
Instagram stories are like all Nina.
Hello.
Nina on the plane. Nina in first class on Delta
That's
1.
how I can flex that I'm in first class.
It's I
your
know,
dog?
really.
Okay, no.
No, it's always Nina in front of the Delta 1 check-in.
Because here's the thing. I feel like it's very uncouth if you post that you're laying down in first class. Like, okay,
Is it
bitch.
uncouth?
Oh, it does. I would
Is it
never be in
uncouth?
first class. Like,
Yeah, you
You
can't.
literally post that you're in first class like every other day.
But I do it with the dog, so then people are
Oh,
like,
it's like just the
oh,
dog
it's
is
just
flying.
her. Mhm.
Well, do you know, apparently I heard that Valentino, the designer, has like he has a whole half of his airplane just for his dogs.
How many dogs?
Like apparently there's 12.
that's ridiculous.
No, they travel in their own
12?
car.
That's a fucking basketball team.
No,
they need their own plane,
I
actually.
have-
Paris Hilton's got 6.
No, he has 12. They travel like not even first class, like in their own half of a private plane. They travel in their own car. I think they're like getting the money.
Is there a
Well,
documentary
never mind.
on this?
I gave you all those props.
There
We're
is
all
a
poor.
documentary.
I was
on
like,
him.
oh yeah, we're definitely trash.
They'll put the mic to the dog, like, and what does he do? We have a very special guest today who was on our show years ago. You just said 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah, Liz Goldwyn. I've always called you founder of the Sex Ed, but then I remember you were telling me when you were doing press for your book, you were like, "Oh my God, please don't say I'm a podcaster." So what are all the things that you do? Because I want to talk about that as to why you're so knowledgeable for this book, to make a book about this.
I'm an author. This is my third book, actually.
This subtle flex. Okay, excuse me.
It wasn't
My
subtle.
third book.
It was,
Yeah.
Third book.
It was
like,
just
bitch,
as much as the Nina in first class.
Yeah. I'm an author. I started out at Planned Parenthood, working in the clinic when I was 13. So I've been
doing what at 13?
answering phones,
Okay.
organizing the media library, like playing solitaire on the computer.
Telling
and
the
like,
protesters, get your ass
oh no,
out there.
seriously, they were always calling the clinic
See?
with bomb threats.
They were calling.
They were
with bomb
calling. This
threats?
was back in the day. Yeah. This was like pre-Google. So you couldn't look up like how to give a good blowjob or can you get pregnant from anal sex. So people would literally come in and like check out stuff from our media library, which it was my job to organize. And there were like pamphlets.
I remember the pamphlets because they
I
were
remember
also
those too.
very, very much in the school nurse office.
Yep.
And so literally even how to put on a condom. There were pamphlets for everything sex, and you would have to go to the nurse's office.
But it was only like how to put on a condom. Don't get like if you have sex, you'll get pregnant or you'll get
And
AIDS
die.
and die. Yeah. It was like there was nothing like there is
Did
now.
it scare you to have sex, or did it make you feel like now I have the tools so I can go fuck?
Well, you know what? When I was that age, I was like answering questions at school that were like way beyond my skill set. I talk about this in the book because kids would ask me at recess questions about sex because I worked at Planned Parenthood. And they would, and I would always be like, "Oh, if you have a urinary tract infection, drink cranberry juice." And that also helped you beat a drug test if you were being tested for marijuana.
Wait, is
Back
that so
then.
true?
There's no way that's true.
Well, now
off,
they test your blood. Now they test your
well,
blood.
no, they still make you pee in a
pee in a
cup.
cup,
I didn't have
yeah.
to pee in a cup.
Okay, well,
But
but
also the-
cranberry,
But the cranberry, did you tell them it had to be the concentrate, not the ocean spray? Because the ocean spray is that sugar shit.
Yeah, you don't want ocean spray. You want really, you can take the cranberry pills. Actually, I think that
That's what I do
everyone, if you're having a lot of sex, pro tip, that's a good thing to always travel with.
I ain't gonna hold you. I take them daily.
Yeah.
You take
Yeah.
them with
Oh.
your strap.
No, it's
Well,
really
that's not even on my
good.
strap. But
No, I'm just saying, you should always have it on hand because I've been caught in an emergency situation, in a foreign country where it's hard to get cranberry juice.
But outside of that, when you have sex, there's been times where I know I just got fucked the shit out of, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm tired. But I also know I should go piss.
You gotta
But it's
pee. You gotta pee.
if I ain't gotta pee and I'm
You
tired,
have to pee it
my
out.
point. So I'm like, I'm gonna just take a cranberry pill in the morning. But that's where
That's your detox.
No, you gotta
It is.
pee. You gotta pee.
But what if I go 3 rounds? Sometimes me and my man go 5. And I'll try to piss, but towards the end, I done already pissed twice. We done win another round, and now I'm just gonna go to sleep.
You just
on
put
it.
that sippy cup next to the bed.
First off, I'm not pissing in a cup, okay? I will get up. The bathroom is right
I've
there.
peed in so many cups. I don't know why.
Why are you peeing in cups?
I'm trying to think.
Where's the bathroom?
Oh, I know the last time I did. This is crazy. I can't even believe I'm about to say this. So, I don't have bathrooms in my bedrooms in New York. And I had a friend of mine who was on the couch with this guy. And this was pandemic time when I was the afties. I was the spot during the pandemic to hang. And so I had to pee really bad, but I didn't want to break their stride because I could hear them about to fuck. And I was looking around my room what am I going to do? So I just drank the rest of my drink, which made me even more drunk. And I peed in the cup. And I remember being so embarrassed
To
because
pee in a cup in your own crib is crazy.
because they were about to fuck. And I was
crazy.
I was high as fuck. And it's damn. Am I going to have to end up having a threesome if I get out there? I didn't know what to do. So I just peed in the cup. But I remember in the morning when I woke up, I saw the pee and I was like, now I got to bring it out. And everybody sleeping in my living room is going to see me holding this cup. It was awful. Okay, anyway, about your
Planned Parenthood. What else? We're still going down your resume, by the
Yeah.
way.
Ooh, talk about the Pornhub thing you just did.
Yeah, well, that's flash forward a number of years.
Okay.
So you want me to go
let's go
back to the
chronological.
future?
All right,
or-
chronological, fuck it.
Okay, so at Planned Parenthood, and then when I moved to New York when I was 16, and I started collecting burlesque costumes that I would get at the flea market. And I ended up writing a book, and my first book, and making a movie that I sold to HBO called Pretty Things, about the last generation of American burlesque queens and the advent of strippers. And all these people, especially because I do come from a Hollywood family, they were like, why do you care about these dead strippers? No one's going to care about this. This was pre Pussycat Dolls, by the way. Pre Christina Aguilera.
Pre Coyote Ugly.
Yeah.
Pre.
No, post Coyote Ugly.
Post Coyote Ugly. Okay.
But Coyote Ugly wasn't really wasn't really
Lady
burlesque.
Marmalade. Marmalade. Gucci.
What year did that come out? I don't remember what year that came out.
Gucci. Yeah. That's not
That
the
was
word.
such a good
Mocha
song.
chocolate. Yeah.
Wait, you don't know the year that you did it?
No, I don't know the year Lady Marmalade came out.
Because I feel like it became mainstream when they
Yeah.
came out in there.
Yeah,
The
so
burlesque,
that
yeah, I
was
did.
So this year was 2001.
Okay, so that was after. Mine came out 2005.
Okay.
The first movie and the book came out 2005.
2005. Okay.
So I was photographing myself in these burlesque costumes and then learning about burlesque and sex from these 80-year-old women who had been stars of the 1930s and 40s. And at the time, I was a young married woman, literally having my sexual awakening through these 80-year-old women. It was pretty wild, actually,
Wow.
because I was kind of a 1950s housewife.
You give a 1950s vibe all
I
the
am a
time.
1950s housewife.
You're this is 1950s, but they wouldn't have let you wear the leather skirt back then.
Well,
Maybe.
if I was a bad girl.
Ooh.
I had for my honeymoon, I went to Trashy Lingerie in LA and I had housewife outfits made. That was my role play was that I was just
Really?
Yeah, because I was a terrible housewife actually. I didn't know how to cook. I was really into making the bed. No, actually I didn't make the bed. I didn't make the bed.
You were a housewife with no housewife skills?
I was like 18 when
You're
I
like,
met him.
I could suck a dick, all right?
Yeah, I was good.
What would you rather have?
I mean, would you rather have a girl that goes to trashy lingerie and has like a full like pretend housewife, like little maid? It was like a maid's uniform.
Also, I love that you can actually live into the like, oop, I didn't clean this right. Beat me up.
Like, let me push the vacuum like back and forth in one spot for an hour.
I cannot imagine you doing role play.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's kind of funny.
It is. I'm too goofy to
I
do
ain't
it.
gonna hold you. Y'all ain't get to see it on camera. She lifted her whole leg and showed us the bottom of her. Look, I sensed role play as soon as you were like, you don't like my fishnets?
You just get so in your head that I'm trying to imagine him asking you a question in the middle of role play that you can't answer. That's my greatest like
Fear.
ooh with role play. Like, what if I can't finish? Like next week we're having Kiki Palmer on, right? And we did a little role play with her. And like I was like, fuck, she's just too quick. It felt like improv. And then I was stuck.
Yeah, I'm not like, don't put me in the role play mistress category.
You just want to be quiet and bend over in your outfit. Pretty
Well,
much. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, sometimes.
I don't want to do no talking, no narrative. It's given. Let's play music in the background.
No
This is a
narrative.
silent movie happening here. Okay, so you created this book that then turned into a film.
And
And
the film came out first with
Film came out
HBO,
first,
and then the
okay.
book came out and called Pretty Things, The Last Generation of American Burlesque Queens. And then while I was researching that, I was always really fascinated with sex workers. Like from the time I was
Us
a
too.
kid. Yeah, like always obsessed, thinking about if I was born in another time period, what would be my choices as a woman?
Mm.
Because no matter what, having a vulva would like dictate what I was allowed to do, right?
Yes and no, girl. I was born in the 90s and still chose to do some things. for
I'm
some
talking
change.
about if you're born 100, 200, 500 years ago.
Now, we always talk about prostitution being also the oldest,
Yeah, it's the
You know,
oldest
the oldest
work.
career, the oldest work, the
Yeah.
oldest job.
And so like I was just always fascinated with like also curious, why did society condemn women for often back then like taking one of the few choices available to them? And I didn't feel like they should be shamed for that. The same way that I looked at burlesque and was like, these women were performing artists and they
For
had
sure.
like incredible costumes and choreography and music, and they really worked on their routine. They spent a ton of money on their costumes too, like $3,000 back then, like in the 1930s.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
My homegirl
That's a
just
lot
spent,
of money.
Medina, they just did a burlesque show in Chicago,
Mhm.
and it was whole burlesque theme. She had a beautiful, like a velvet skirt with a corset top,
Yeah.
and she paid almost $300 for her costume.
Yeah.
And it's one of those like you keep it, you buy it, but she's like, where am I going to wear this again to?
But that's
And
on the
that's cheap.
end.
That's on the cheap end, and it was
Yeah.
still like $300 for an outfit.
Yeah.
Mind you, titties are out. It's literally from here down. Whole titties are showing. She had to
My
put
nipples
Macy's
out.
on. Like whole titties. To me, it's like, girl, that's half a dress. That's not even a whole dress for $300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just didn't like the shame that was
I
being
don't-
put onto sex workers.
I
in
don't like
general.
shame put onto sex, period. I don't like shame put onto women. I don't like shame put onto anyone. I think we like live in a culture of shame. So yeah, like that was my second book, which was the last one, came out in 2015, was historical fiction about vice and sex work in LA in the 1890s.
What's it called?
Sporting Guide.
Sporting guy.
Yeah, because
Wow.
it was legal in certain areas back then, including in Los Angeles, and on the old real maps of LA, it says House of Ill Fame.
Well, that's also why a lot of the porn is still shot in like the valley in certain areas in LA, right?
This is way pre-porn.
Oh wait.
1890s.
Oh shit. Pre-TV.
Not 1980s.
I think you're in
Oh,
1980.
shit.
Pre-radio.
How the hell they found
Yeah.
that? Like, how did you find that
On
information?
the map, bitch. They
Because,
unfolded
These
you
it.
niggas
know-
was just having sex in the 1890s in this part in LA. Like, how do you,
Because I'm a nerd. This is what I get off on. Like all of my I guess my
was your
fantasy.
pussy wet?
Like literally, I'm in the library, like looking up microfiche records, like adjusting my glasses.
What's microfiche?
Right,
yeah,
What is it?
I'm a nerd.
Yeah,
Like,
girl, I don't know big words. What's
a
going on?
microfiche is like it's like film records, like records that are
Oh.
on film, basically, and you have to like roll through them.
Yeah,
to
you
look
are
at
the black
shit.
sheep
No,
of your
I
family.
love like a card catalog. Like, give me a fucking card catalog, the Dewey Decimal System. I love a library. Like, I just am a nerd that likes to get lost in research, whether that's like first person research, like I love talking to anyone and hearing their stories, or like being like, I wonder what happened in like 1874.
You know what's
in
hot
this
about
place.
this? A lot of girls like to say they're a nerd. Like, you know what I mean? On their like dating profiles. I'm such a
nerd.
But like, you are.
Yeah, no, I know.
So when you wrote,
I'm a nerd who can also recite most of the lyrics to Two Lives Crew.
that's because you have an all lives matter pussy, Liz. You do.
Wait, do I have an all lives
Oh, wait,
matter?
I was
I
saying
don't think
that
I
right
have an
now.
all
No.
lives matter pussy.
You fit the diaspora in there. You show me a guy, I don't know what he's gonna look like. Like I don't
have a type.
Oh, you don't have a type at all.
I don't have a type.
One had dreads,
No.
one was lengthy,
and like there's nothing
No,
that.
she has a type. She has a type. Like alternative is your type.
Oh yeah, they look poor. We talk about this all the time. And then this bitch, everyone, all of my friends have met like just a few people that are around, and they're like, bitch, they all look like cousins. Apparently, even though they're all black, they're like, nope. They all look Middle Eastern or Dominican or like they could be in the Arabian Sea somewhere. Like, and I'm just like,
Ooh,
nigga,
the Arabian
like,
Sea.
I'm like, they're just Muslim. Like, what the fuck? From Harlem, what do you want from me?
That is a type then.
First off, I can't help the niggas from Harlem like me. You know what I mean?
Muslim specifically?
I do be getting them, and I don't know why. That's why for Halloween I dressed up as a bacon and said, "This is the only meat Muslims eat right here, baby."
Oh my god!
But yeah, no,
I have no type. You couldn't like categorize.
And do you like women as well?
I'm definitely attracted to women, but I feel like I'm pretty heteronormative.
Okay.
Yeah. But that said, I feel like in my 60s, I'm going to get into some throuple shit.
Why do you say that?
I don't know, because I just feel like that's when I'm going to get really wild. That's when I'm
Are you keeping yourself from being wild right now because you're so
No,
professional as an author?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
I wonder, like,
I just like don't want to. I feel like a lot of times people think you stop having sex at a certain age, or like life isn't adventurous, and I don't think we should live like that.
do you think
like I want to be having
sexier though?
100%. I feel like I'm having way better sex now than I did when I was like in my 20s.
Same, and I'm only in my 30s, and I'm like, it's way better than my 20s.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, it's getting better. I know more of what I want. And it's funny that you say that too, because we went to Hedonism a couple years ago. And
I remember when you guys went.
The amount of couples, though, that were like, hey, we've been here 15 times. We've been here 25 times. And they were all well into their, at least the white people that were there. There was a black party that was there as well. But all of the white people that were there were literally like well into their 50s, I would say, couple-wise. And they were like, we've been doing this. And you could tell like they love it.
I was just explaining at Barstool on a podcast what the senior sex porn genre. No, and a girl
Senior
in the
sex
corner
porn.
just made the face that you did. Like,
What's senior sex
Ew.
porn?
I've watched it just for like research, and the only thing I've
Just
noticed.
for research?
Just for research. She be liking this weird shit,
This is,
bruh.
I don't want to sound like an ageist, but like I can watch old guy, young girl, but sometimes watching older women makes me think of my mom. But when it really does. I can't explain it. It makes me think.
okay,
Mom.
but what about the fact that we're all gonna look like that one day? Like,
right?
I don't look like that yet.
Are you
I
just
look
gonna
like
be
it.
out? You're gonna just peace out after a certain age and not have sex?
We all look like children at one point as well. That doesn't mean I'm going to like look at kid porn. Like,
no,
you know?
whoa, you just took
I'm
it
just
to
saying,
some other
I'm
level.
just saying.
You just took it to
wanna
some
look like
other
me now.
place.
But even the same like to me then with say and we were talking with Cinnamon Love about this. There's even still this very popular genre, not bringing it to kids, but barely legal. And I still watch gay porn. I don't like twink categories.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like males not looking like men. I don't like the very small-bodied men or men that just look like they just got out of high school. So even like the barely legal category, even though, yeah, we've all been 18, 19, 20. We've been fucking since we were 16, you know?
Yeah.
But I still don't want to see the barely legal category either, or the twinks in gay porn.
Yeah.
I want you
the
to
barely
be I want
legal
you to look
category
like
too.
30.
At first, I used to think it was the young face, and then I started to like understand. Oh, it's just like this innocence thing. It's the outfits sometimes. It's the even the cardigan, right?
I don't know
It's
what I'm
like-
doing.
Like that's it.
That.
That's what it is.
That. And of
Teach
course,
me, Daddy.
And
That
of course-
is hot.
oh, well, look, you want to be tall. You want to
Teach
be
me,
led.
Mommy.
Ideal.
See, look, all you gotta do is switch daddy and mommy, bitch. Now you watch a senior citizen porn.
Stop it! I don't know how to do role play.
Oh,
I'm
did
not
they say
saying-
G-Mom? They be like, come on, granddad.
I'm
Give
not
it to me,
saying like,
G-Mom.
I'm just saying like, I think we should like think about it, because why are we so afraid of like getting older? And why does everybody think that sex is just going to stop at a certain age? Because that's a bummer.
They do think
like
that, yeah.
That's why I'm saying I want to be wild in my 60s, because I want to be showing people. I want to be like turning up with like my hot throuple or whatever. Maybe I'm with, I don't know. Who knows what I'm going to be into.
Can I ask you why you say that as you get older, you would consider the throuple? And I only ask that because in terms of like marriage and long-term relationships, right? That's a lot of our goals, at least, to be with at least one partner, you know? And where I've heard a lot of people in either long-standing relationships or marriage, the sex just plummets. Maybe because they're getting bored with each other. So you saying that you don't even really like women, why would you consider a throuple relationship later on and not now?
Because I feel like you can't knock things till you try it if you stay open.
Okay.
And so I like to just live my life with that attitude in general, even outside of sex. To just like try new things. And I think that's important, to not just get like complacent and like sit in the same old shit. And that's why it suffers. Sex suffers in long-term relationships. In my marriage, we were together for 13 years. I didn't have that problem. But that's because what I do is like study sex all day.
Why don't you think you had that problem though?
That's what I do.
But I mean, like what were you doing actively that like pulled it out? Because at the same time, like it's the same guy, you're used to having the same, like how did you actually do it?
I mean, it was a while ago now, but I think it was because I think, you know how most people have discipline around areas of their life that they want to improve in, like whether it's like you do your workout, like, or you eat certain things or whatever it is, you meditate, whatever it is. But like people don't do that with sex. They think it's just supposed to like be good automatically, or like you meet someone. Most people aren't actively disciplined about like taking the same time and the focus that they would to like their gym routine or their diet or anything else.
I don't think
that they do with
that
sex,
either, really.
Which is shocking, considering that this is also what you guys do.
I've actually had a partner who like was more focused on that, like after sex stretching me, making sure like my hips were and that's like a thing now. Like I like intimacy, give it to me, baby. But like where like my hips or stuff, if he knew he really like fucked the shit out of me, it would be like, well, I don't want you to be hurt after this. I want you to still, if I come over tonight, for us to still be able to go at it. And another thing that we really talked about was what we put into our bodies. So I shared with a lot of the men on here, he drank a lot of beet juice, which allowed the blood flow to stay. We talked about recently watermelon
are we talking
juice.
about the same thing? Because see, intimacy isn't switching it up to me. You're talking about actively trying something different.
Well, not only actively trying something different, but taking care of you as a person and what you bring into the bedroom too, no?
I feel like that I could do. I feel like I've always been able to like take care of my body and be a good partner and bring my A game. But actively being new, like trying something new, discovering new sex and like making it a focus.
That's been hard?
I don't know if I'm really doing that.
When you bring in other people, would you not say that's adding adventure?
Threesomes are still something that you've already done. Like I was thinking.
I don't know. I feel like you're kind of always changing it up and trying new things.
Because they're new guys, Liz. Let's just get on. Okay, I'm gonna ask you our favorite question to ask everyone.
Okay,
you had to pick: eat ass or suck toes.
Is the ass clean or dirty?
Of course, they're both clean. It's a clean ass.
They're both clean.
They're both clean. I don't know. I kind of might have a toe fetish. Might have a toe sucking fetish.
What?
Eventually. I don't know. Just when you said it just now,
you're like,
I was
let me put a big toe in my mouth.
You know, if it's like a clean toe.
Like no callus toe. We always say eat ass. I don't know what it is. Even
I'm gonna eat ass.
Clean.
I'll do both now. Like
I guess Mandi's discovered.
Oh yeah, no. Like I literally like have and this was new. I had a foot by my face. And instead of like, because he was like really fucking me and his leg was up by my head. And I just went over and started licking the side of his toe and like made his foot come towards my mouth. And put it in my mouth.
We're going to call her Galileo since she discovered new shit. Okay. So finding the love of your life and never getting to travel with them, or being single forever and traveling the world.
Finding the love of my life. And never getting to travel.
Oh, you're a hopeless romantic.
I'm such a romantic.
I believe in love.
Not me. Bitch, I'm traveling. I still ain't been to Greece, bitch. I want to go everywhere. I do not give a fuck.
But you know what, though?
I can go with my friends. And this has like been a problem with my relationship.
Being single forever?
Bitch. I was single my whole 20s, bitch. If you think about it, I just got in my first relationship. And as much as I loved it, I realized how much my friends still come first. As long as my friends don't go anywhere and we can travel the world together, I'm fine. My
Maybe
family's
because
good.
you fuck your friends.
I do, but not all of them.
But I'm saying, like, maybe that's why I don't have that.
You can travel, but you can never have sex.
Oh, bitch, first off, I would never not want to have sex.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
sex over traveling? Or I can travel everywhere but no sex?
You can travel
all
everywhere
sex
with no sex. Or you find love of your life. You have the best sex of your life, but you have to stay in, like,
New York?
Yeah.
No, I'll stay. I can't never not get fucked again. I think I'd kill myself. Sorry if we had to put a trigger warning for that. I just don't, like, it reminds me of when I was on Lexapro and I couldn't come. I was like, wow, I don't want to die, but I can't come. And one outweighed the other, and that's why I got off.
Oh, yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. Like, my mom has been around me for the holidays, and I'm cranky, and she'd be like, do you need to go fuck somebody? Because I don't like this little attitude you got right now. Like, I literally get cranky when I don't fuck. So, yeah, I think
That's
I would.
bad.
You're not traveling.
I'm not traveling. I'm not traveling.
Okay.
Damn, Greece.
So,
see ya.
I found a vanilla shit article that I thought would be really cool because you and I have talked about our love languages. And apparently, I don't know yours, but your love language can tell you about how you argue and fight. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
Oh,
Yours are acts of service, right?
That's what I like to receive. However, my love language now in showing my love is 100% physical touch and gift giving. So how I give is different than what I like to receive. Right now it is acts of service as to what I want to receive.
So
I did this quiz and I don't just have one love language, is what it turns out.
That's why I said mine is gift giving
yeah,
and
we don't
physical
all
touch.
have, I think mine's gift, physical touch. And by the way, gift giving.
And words of affirmation, I like that too. I like it all.
Yeah, mine don't like that. I be telling them how fine they are. They don't care. I think they know.
No, because
They
men
know.
like to be feed, fucked, and flattered.
Feed,
You gotta
fucked, and
feed,
flattered.
fuck, and flatter them.
And we used to say the 3 F's are feed me, fuck me, finance me.
Yeah,
Feed
so
me, fuck
me,
feed,
flatter
me.
fuck, and flatter.
That's
And
you.
no, I'm saying that's what men, they need to be feed, fucked, and flattered. And you know where women trip up the most?
Is flattering them?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Is flattering them.
Well, it's because bitches like medium ugly niggas. We just talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God.
I don't know why y'all like these ugly niggas. You can't flatter an ugly nigga.
Yes, you can.
You can always find
I can
something
be
to
like-
flatter about someone.
Ooh, I like that t-shirt.
Always.
Good. It looks good
not
on
something
you.
like that. You could be like, you really know how to handle a car or whatever. Though,
You know
like,
I just
You
said
have
that?
to tell them
Wait,
something about that.
wait,
Yeah.
do you know I just said that?
you said you know how to handle a
Literally?
car.
Hold on.
What was it, a stick shift?
No, and the nigga laughed at me. The man, sorry, let me stop saying the N-word. Y'all gonna get on me like, y'all got a white woman and she keep dropping the N-bomb. So, sorry, they gonna come for me. But no, I literally, so my little friend or whatever, he got like a big truck. And so I
He
literally
has
just
a big
told,
truck.
so I literally just told him, we didn't even start drinking. And
Like a pickup truck?
oh, big baby, big old thing. And so he was like, in New York, you got a parallel park. And I said, this is going to sound really crazy, but it turns me on so much how you fit this big old truck into these little spaces.
Yeah.
I literally told him that. And he was like, bro, why you be like, he was not. But I was like, oh, I never told you this, but it turns me on.
It is
I
kinda
said,
hot,
the
though.
way you be whipping this thing, it turned me on. Because in Florida, motherfuckers don't know how to.
No, he whips it like a Prius, probably.
Oh my God. And then, of course, I put it like he fits this big old thing in
Oh,
some
yeah.
tight spots.
I mean,
loved
I
it.
like a man who can like use his hands to build things, like who's like useful.
Same.
Who can like build me some shelves or like
that.
fix some shit around the house.
Mandii
That's
has
sexy.
service, right?
We're tired right now of hearing Mandii about some fucking taking out the trash.
Take out the trash, baby.
All right, so words of affirmation. This to me is super interesting because this is how you fight. So you rely and are motivated by words of affirmation. External sources, well, particularly someone you care about, making you feel good through reassurance, which means you're most sensitive to people's words, the critical ones especially, about your opinions and your actions. Fighting can make you feel miserable because you hate ugly language and heated arguments as the worst case scenario. You're not quick to forgive, not to be dramatic, but it may take a while before words of reassurance from your partner feel like they last. Is that true?
For me personally,
Yes.
I'm like actually trying to work on, I write about it in the book in the chapter called Mindful Communication. I am really trying to work on my temper and the way I communicate in an argument. And like, especially when I'm pissed off and resentful at someone, like I'm really trying to like drop my ego and like listen and not be defensive. Because I feel like a lot of times when we're listening to someone, we're immediately planning our response in our head, like instead of taking them in, especially like if it's a conversation where they're introducing like even sexually an idea, or maybe they're interested in another person, that immediately we're going to be like, fuck you. You know, I can't believe you're saying this, but I'm trying to be like a bit more.
And we ask for honesty, but then we don't handle it the way that they would appreciate.
Because we feel rejected or abandoned or all those things. I'm trying to be like more zen.
The best thing that I think I've been able to do is not feel stupid in an argument. Like ask questions, whether they sound like they're super simple or not. And also like when you say taking ego out of it, like platonically or professional, like I'm trying my best to like, if someone says something and they're the type of person to feel like they won, because you can argue with a guy or a woman and you're in a relationship and they need to let you know what I mean? Like they're the top dog. I kind of just let it go because I can't change your personality. But if you are right and I can acknowledge that, at least the next time I can work towards you giving me the same grace. But it's like, I've definitely dated men that are just so up their own ass that they just know what they're saying is right. And so immediately, because they're those types of people, I just am like, no.
They
I want to be defensive.
They know that
I'll
what
give
they're
you the
saying
credit
is
when
right.
you are right. That's like my thing now. Fuck it. What can I do? Like life's too short.
And that's the problem about dating, I would say, older men. Even with my ex and even talking to older men that I've been talking to recently, like I've been in therapy for the last 2 years. And so like I'll let them know things they need to work on. And older men, specifically older Black men, I notice, are so against therapy because they feel like I've been this way for this many years and it got me this far. I'm comfortable with who I am. I even have this conversation with my friends, like how their partners just won't seek help even in terms of just knowing how to communicate with a partner. Like I'm not bashing you as much as I feel like this is something you should work on. And a lot of people not receiving even that bit of
uncovers
advice.
a lot of shit.
Yeah,
bro.
but that's really stigmatized still.
It
Going to
is.
therapy,
It is.
especially for men.
It is.
Especially for men. And then I know a lot of white guys who are like obsessed with therapy, and they literally will go to therapy twice a week.
Just to gaslight it, huh? And act
literally
like
to
they working on
like
themselves.
talk about themselves. And I'll be like, it's not working for you. You need
You're
to go.
just chatting for an
I'm
hour.
like, literally, I'm like, you're paying someone to just talk about yourself for an hour twice a week, and it's not fucking working because you're still a man child who has mommy issues. So you need to see a somatic therapist. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, you're not in your body. They're like, what's that? Explain it to me. Teach me.
Put your cardigan on.
Put your glasses on.
So we have a hors d'oeuvre tip, but I feel like you've already given us a great tip about sex and it's discovering something new. So we have a new thing we've been doing with guests where they tell us a horror story, which is a terrible dating or
Sex
terrible
story.
sex story.
Yeah. Okay, I have a good one. Well, for me, it was a horror story. I was with my boyfriend and it was like 10 days into the relationship. And I used to be the kind of person where I literally would see someone, I'd be like, I want to fuck the shit out of them. And then I'd be in a relationship. Because as you and I have talked about, I cannot separate sex from love.
Me
I
neither.
cannot have casual sex. I just can't
Liz
do it.
read me like a book basically when I told her about the skater guy. And as you guys know, his girlfriend showed up on the date. And she was like, you can't fuck him again because you can't distinguish the two. Like, then she told me, this fucked me up. So after I had sex with him, I was sick for a week. But mind you, we were kicking it all night, fucked up, whatever. She's like, your body literally rejected him and you went
It
back
did.
for more.
It
What?
did. She got sick for like a full week.
Does our bodies really do that with people?
Yes. Our bodies know things and our mind, our logic tries to
And our
disregard it.
pussy. That pussy got another
No, it
brain
does.
down
Like
there.
imagine the things that you feel in your
That's
gut.
what she thought with a pussy. That's what we used to
But
be doing
I'm
a lot.
telling you though, I've never put two and two. Like the fact that I mean, when I tell you I was sick hours later, like just
Well, because the girlfriend showed up.
no.
No,
remember I
this is the
fucked him
first
before.
time. This is the first time.
Oh.
I told you on Patreon. Maybe no one remembers.
Oh, wait, this is the same guy.
I
I,
never
can't
had
keep
se-
up
I
with
never
them
had
all.
sex with him.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
The skater guy fucked him, and then because we used all those condoms, then we went on that
The date with the condom.
on a sex.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
No, I fucked him first, and it was amazing sex. And
But you were sick for like a week.
I know, but I lost 6 pounds, and it jump started my new.
So see, didn't he bring
Okay,
something
Devil
good
Wears
into her
Prada.
life? Like he helped with weight
I was
loss.
like shaking.
No.
It was bad.
You could
But-
just like lick a door handle. and
Maybe it was his dick. But
Well, oh wait, so you were sick is like not where your vagina was broken, but where like you
no,
were like
she was like
coughing,
sick.
fever sick?
She was sick.
Wow.
Because our bodies tell us things all the time. We just don't listen. We all have intuitive wisdom in our bodies, and we literally spend most of our time ignoring it. Ignoring those little signals. In fact, like when you talk to people who deal with like violence, like whether it's sexual violence or victims of violence, they'll often tell you, I had this strange feeling, or I thought there was something off, but I wanted to be polite, or I ignored it. You are your own best psychic, in fact, really. Like your body will tell you. And if you start to notice the cues, like for example, like you can feel like what's your stomach doing in a certain situation, or your bowels.
Bitch,
Like,
I just had tacos. I don't know what it's doing. I'm just playing.
okay, wait, horror story.
Okay, horror story. So I was like 10 days into this relationship, and we're
10
not
days into
like-
a relationship.
No,
Y'all are
because
nuts.
I know. I'm telling you, it's like a problem. Like literally, it's why I do have no self control. So I'm getting better. But so we were still using condoms, and the condom got stuck in my fucking cervix. It got stuck in my
Welcome
cervix,
to the club.
which
That's how this podcast started.
Yeah, so that had never happened to me before. I'm like trying to dig that shit out for 30 minutes.
God, I know that
In the
feeling.
bathroom, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. It's gonna be like, I have a fucking sex company. This is so humiliating. I'm like bleeding, trying to get this thing out. And then I finally get it out. I'm like, I'm never having sex again, which I did. I go to the gynecologist in between, because that like forces the conversation basically about not using condoms, which was like a little early. But I was like, I'm scared to ever use a condom again. So I go to the gynecologist. That was like on a Saturday. I go to the gynecologist on Friday, and she's like, oh, it's like a 1 in 100,000 chance that would ever happen again. Don't worry.
Bitch. That
Okay.
shit
I
happened to me about 4 times.
It happened
minimum.
to me the next day.
You know what I mean?
It
He wasn't
happened
wearing
the
his size or
next
something.
day.
He wasn't wearing his size.
No, I think
They
I
were
was
too big for him.
I was too
You were too
wet.
dry.
And
Oh, you were
I
too
was
wet.
too wet, and I just sucked
Oh,
that
I was
thing.
about to say, that's what
That's what you want to say about your pussy.
My
Liz.
pussy stay doing that shit too. Like, I done had it come off. Like, I'll tell it, can you keep checking? Is it still there? Because it's something's feeling a little.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
That shit sucks.
It made me paranoid like that. Like, let's check.
Oh, when
Wait,
it
the
happened to
next
me,
day that
I
it
used to
happened,
keep.
did you have to pee it? Like, what did you?
the same thing.
You went back to the gynecologist?
No, I dug it out eventually, but like, it
You
was
know what?
really
He
stressful.
might have been rolling that thing off because he ain't want it on his dick at all.
Well,
If that shit happened twice that quick,
yeah,
he was doing something. He ain't put it on right. Did you put it on or he put it on?
he put it on.
He ain't put it on right, and he did that shit on purpose.
No,
Why did he
because we
push
had
it?
sex lots of times in between that, and it was
Well, it was
like
10 days, girl.
Did he help you take it out?
no, he didn't help me take it out because it was like a one-person
At
job.
least my man pulled out the cell phone flashlight and was trying to look up in my twat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure was.
I could feel the edge of it though. You know when you can
When
feel
you could
like
feel the rib?
just a
Yep.
little rib, and I was like, ugh. And then I was afraid it would like break off.
And then you
Oh,
get
wait.
a
And
then I'd
toothbrush.
have,
And you have your nails were this short?
Stop. I can feel it. Ooh.
Were they that short?
I'm like humiliated.
'cause
I'm like, my nails are not long right now.
Oh.
But
This is my first time having that long.
Oh, I
nails.
love it. Well, these are short and it's still broke. I gotta go to the salon and get it fixed. They don't make acrylic and gel like they used to. I'll tell you that. They just
They
don't.
don't?
They just don't. It's cheaper now. I'm paying triple the price, and the product is not the same.
Nails used to be so fucking
$25
cheap.
I
for
know.
a set, and it lasts a month. Not anymore. Gotta go every goddamn 2 weeks.
So let's get back into sex.
okay.
Okay. So I read the book in a PDF, which was so difficult. Even though you sent me a hard copy, I didn't want to tell you the truth. I thought I lost the book and my mom found it. So that was terrible. I did this whole thing of where I was like, I really want to read this book because Liz told me a story about someone who didn't read it that she cared about and like disregarded it. I was like, well, now I got to really read this shit. So she sent me a hard copy and I was getting into it, lost it. And my mom called me and she goes, I just found one of your sex books in the house. I was like, oh, it's my friend's. But in the middle of reading this book, I told you that a lot of feelings came out. Like you did a lot of, what do you call it? Like the follow-up questions and things like
the
that.
exercises.
And
or
I actually had to
practices.
stop at one point because it was really making me think. And I think I picked my favorite topics from this because I thought Mandii and I definitely have brought up things that this could be useful with. So the first thing that I want to bring up that you had some good questions that made me stop was the filling the void chapter. Where you
And this is in what book again? If we could just
my
let the
new
audience know.
book,
Yes.
Sex, Health, and Consciousness, which is out now. Which
Sex,
you can
Health, and Consciousness.
Sex, Health, and Consciousness.
I figured I'd made it the title. So
I want to elevate your consciousness, and on the cover of it, it says "Free your mind, and your ass will follow." Like the seminal,
Not a free asshole.
no, like George Clinton.
It didn't follow for me.
Like Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay.
Well,
I like it.
buy your girlfriend this book and she'll let
Or
you fuck her
listen
in the
to
ass.
it. You can listen to it. I narrate it.
Oh, it's your.
It's my audiobook.
Well,
Yeah, I
bitch, why
narrate
couldn't
it.
we did that?
Look, that's what she was
Because
she can listen to
because I
podcasts.
just finished doing it like
Oh.
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I love audiobooks.
Me too.
Well, yeah.
Especially when the author gets in there and it's their voice or
Their voice is
it goes
the best.
back and forth. Like
Yeah.
I love audiobooks as well.
Did
Yeah.
Obama do his own?
Well, I didn't hear Obama's book. Obama got a book.
I've just have a thing about his voice, and it's just like I feel like, ooh, that'd be a good one to listen to.
He is a married man. Look at you. Getting your rocks off.
It
to
doesn't
Obama.
count if it's a fantasy. So was
No.
Jason Momoa, but you don't
Oh, he
care.
not no more. You saw
He's
that
not
ass?
married
The
anymore.
way everybody said that ass to me. Ooh. Ooh. That ass.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, booty hole freedom. let's get back to it, Liz.
Booty hole freedom. Okay, filling the void. Can you talk about that chapter? Because I want to talk about maybe a moment where we've all done that, because I know I have.
Yeah.
Filling the void in what way? Like
In any way, like you could fill the void with sex, with food, with drugs, with alcohol, with porn. It's kind of when you consume something mindlessly just because you're like anxious or you're lonely or you're feeling like bad about yourself. You're having like a moment of low self-worth. Like, have you ever just ate something like whatever, like 2 bags of chips or fucking pizza because you just feel shitty and you kind of want to like literally fill that void. You want to consume. And a lot of times I think we use sex in that way.
oh no,
That's
I
the
use my
worst sex
period
I've
for
had.
that. I eat chocolate and ice cream when I'm on my period. And I'm like, well, I'm on my period. I can do this.
That's
Yeah,
my
But
excuse time.
for the
Yeah,
for the
for
most
sure.
part though, filling a void, that's interesting. I would love to like look into that. I don't feel like I do that often. However, I have been told that when something doesn't go my way, I immediately look into something else that what I can control. Whether it's something else in my job, whether it's immediately booking a flight to be with my friends. It's just something I guess I escape more than fill
Yeah,
voids.
but that's the same. It's
Is it
kind
the
of the
same?
same thing.
Okay.
You're like when you're avoiding something that you'd rather not feel. Like it could be fear, anxiety,
Yes.
insecurity, loneliness, like depression, any of those things. And you're reaching
Yes.
for something else. So it's okay. Like fuck who you want to fuck. But just be conscious of like, are you fucking this person
Because you want to.
you actually want to and you want to feel pleasure? You're just fucking them because you feel so shitty about yourself that is the only way that you can like validate basically your worth. Because I
Ah.
think a lot of us use sex in that way. So when we're mostly, as a culture, I think a lot of us are mostly wired to use sex that way. And that's the message we receive all the time. It's
Sometimes
like,
too, when you're like not feeling, I didn't even tell you, but I'll bring it up. I had sex recently. I posted this picture of me in a robe with like a ponytail, and it was like really cute, and everybody was feeling it. And I ended up having sex that night. And I remember in the morning, I had fun. I wasn't feeling down about it, but I said, "Did I have sex because he made me feel pretty? Like, was that why I fucked this guy? Like, I was feeling super sexy that night, and I was feeding into it." And I thought about your book because I was like, what was the difference here? Like, was I feeling down? Because literally, I only got dressed up to take a cute picture and go out. So I was already feeling like shit. So I boosted it up with that, right? So then the next thing that happens is I have sex. Did I do that because I needed to feed into that? Was I filling a void, or was I actually making an active choice to fuck somebody? And I couldn't figure it out.
well, I don't think you need to judge yourself is the thing. Is like, you just notice it. Like, you don't have to beat yourself up over like eating the pizza because you feel like shit or whatever it is. Like, you just notice it. You just
acknowledge
like,
it so
you
that
just
you know.
acknowledge it so you
You
have
know
a
when you
record-
feel like this again,
next time,
you don't
right.
make that same.
or you just notice that pattern and you start to think about like, oh, if I'm mostly using sex in this way, maybe I'm not tapped into like the full potential of what my pleasure could be with sex. It's kind of like reframing the way we think about things.
I do think I opened my chakras up. Whenever I have sex,
I opened your chakras up when I took you to that Kundalini class.
What the fuck is
And
Kundalini?
you learned how to
Kundalini?
She
you
took
got
me
into your
and Beard
breath.
Bay to a fucking Kundalini class, and it was so funny because after we took
So
it,
we just gonna keep saying Kundalini class. What the hell?
It's
Kundalini?
Kundalini is like Kundalini yoga, but it's this idea. It's very, very ancient. It's like like thousands and thousands of years
Liz
old.
would take us. It was 2 fucking hours, Mandii.
A 2-hour yoga class?
Wasn't it 2
But
hours?
it's not yoga like you're like in downward dog and up and down. It's really about breath work
I'll show you what it looks like.
and muscle control.
This is not a fucking joke.
If you're looking on YouTube, she's. Hold on, I can.
This is how.
It's not all like that.
Was they handing out Tic Tacs? Like a whole bunch of people doing this?
This is pre-COVID. It's pre-COVID.
Clearly, it don't exist no more.
So you
Ancient
can-
times, that thing gone. Ain't no Kundalini.
I was
nothing.
so fucking tired. My mouth was tired. I was getting, and like, mind you, he's tall, so he was like this. He was fucked up, and Liz is like in her zone, like eyes rolling back, and like him and I kept looking at each other once in a blue. But I was liking it. It just was taking too long.
You did 2 hours of that.
Okay, so you can get high from using your breath.
You're high because you're excelling so
No.
much. Like you done lost your breath. That's why you're high. You're lightheaded.
You can bring yourself to orgasm using your breath.
Did you orgasm?
And
Weezy?
no, we weren't learning that technique
okay.
then, but I teach
thought about
it in
sex
my book.
half of the time.
Yeah, I teach it in my book. Well, what Kundalini yoga does is it opens up. So they say Kundalini yoga is like imagining your spine like a serpent, like a serpent. You know, so the head of the serpent is here, and the tail is at your perineum. You know, or your anus. Okay, she's falling asleep, but it's basically like waking up. It's waking up the sexual energy. It's waking up your sexual energy.
I definitely
through your body.
I don't know
And-
if it's because he was there or if my mouth was open, but like I thought about sex more than I had in any other.
You know what
workout.
else makes me really wet? Just getting a random massage. And when they get into them thighs, I be like, oh, I hope they don't feel I'm getting wet down here. I could just get massaged instead of.
But the thing with the breath work is like, so DMT is the thing that makes you feel high, right? And apparently you can create that with the more you're doing that kind of breathing.
100%.
Which I do believe. We actually just had a vanilla shit maybe a couple months ago where one of the tricks to obtaining an orgasm is control of breath.
I write about it
So-
all in my book.
so
Control
I
of
know
breath.
I'm just making jokes now, but we literally did just have that conversation here. It was like a Vice or Cosmo article, but literally where people feel like they haven't been able to achieve orgasm. A lot of it, first, you have to be really comfortable with your partner, but just being comfortable in the flow of how you're breathing. If you're like tense and your breathing or your heart rate is not at a normal pace, you're probably not going to reach orgasm.
Well, because most of the time we're not breathing. Like just on an average day, we're
'Cause, bitch, I'm
holding
trying to
our
suck in my stomach.
yeah, no, we're holding our breath a lot. We're not taking deep breaths.
Ah.
And also when you take deep breaths, but you also learn to use engage your pelvic floor muscles. And it doesn't matter if you have
Right.
a penis or a vulva, you have pelvic floor muscles. It's the muscles that you squeeze if you're trying to stop peeing, basically. So it
Oh.
leads to like heightened orgasms. It leads to like less incontinence as you grow older, meaning like not pissing yourself.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like really good to
It's
know about
also-
your pelvic floor muscles.
If you want to learn how to use it or you might be confused, make your dick jump and it's around that area. It's
Yeah.
that same kind of.
I love a dick jump.
What's sex surrogacy? You brought that up in the book, and I was curious if we could talk about that because I haven't heard about that before.
So sex surrogacy, if you're thinking about different kinds of like sex therapy, like a sex therapist,
Uh-huh.
there's adjacent sex therapists, like sex surrogates, that will basically kind of teach you in a more physical way.
How to fuck your man?
Girl, you lying.
I'm not lying.
For real?
I'm not lying.
Wait,
yeah.
sex surrogate sounds like I'll
Sex
fuck your
worker.
man if you can't.
Not exactly like that. It could be like a lot of times they'll work with people who are disabled, for example, that may have like trouble finding partners or like having intimacy with people or need to learn different
Is there a
ways of getting
certification
off.
for this?
Yeah, there's certification. Like, no, it's a
Wow.
legitimate thing. Or they could be like, some people may have like trauma. They may have vaginismus and they may not like be able to come, or they may have erectile dysfunction. It could be like a whole host of things that are normal things that happen to everyone. But like sex surrogacy is like can be a more like hands-on type of therapy.
Is it expensive? Like
I've
if
never-
someone listening is like, let me look into this.
Let me look into it.
Like, what is- do you
there's
know
all
what-
different levels. There's all different
Okay.
levels of sex surrogacy.
Okay.
They just saw you digging your
not
ass on the
like-
YouTube.
yeah.
I really pulled right from my vulva. I couldn't even breathe. So like,
It's not like sex. It's not sex work.
Okay,
So you're
but
not hiring a sex worker to have sex with you. It's
what if
like,
you're not disabled?
no, I'm saying a lot of people use sex surrogates for all different kinds of
she
reasons.
said even ED,
like
vaginismus. You
UVG,
spoke about
vaginismus,
that.
all different types of
That's
things.
why I would wonder, like, what the differences would be, not only in what you engage in for, say, I assume an hourly rate, like
yeah,
what that
like
rate would look like.
comparable to therapy. Comparable to therapy.
Ooh, I
But
could
there's
fuck for-
more. But
Oh, no,
there's
my therapist's expensive.
Well, I think it's like, I think it depends on where you are and what you're doing. And sometimes sex surrogacy can include touch. Sometimes it doesn't. It's all sorts of different things. And like, you obviously have a conversation with that person, an intake form before you
Is that
start
something
anything
that
and
is
talk about
covered?
consent.
Is it covered by
Insurance?
any insurance?
I highly doubt that.
Okay, all right.
I highly doubt that.
I was just asking for the people.
I think, sex is still something that we're so squeamish about. And
Abortions are covered by insurance.
well, not for long.
But what's crazy
Not
is
for
like
long, but
not for
IVF,
long.
even freezing your eggs, there's a lot of fertility things that still aren't covered by some insurances, or you have to go through outside sources.
But by
to
the
get it
way,
covered.
those are going to go away too. If
What do you
Roe
mean?
v. Wade, if there's a
Oh.
nationwide abortion ban, IVF, egg freezing is all going to come under that same rule of
Really?
yes, because it's discarding embryos. And none of those assisted reproductive technologies would have been possible if Roe v. Wade wasn't made legal in 1973.
Wow.
So
I
all
didn't know
these,
it was affecting all of that.
oh yes, so all these like millennial companies that were promoting like freeze your eggs on Instagram, they should have been like out there, and they should be now like really in talking about these things, because it's already happening in a lot of states.
Wow.
Where people are not allowed
So
to
insane.
yeah, it's a real thing. That's why it's not like the issues at stake are not just about abortion. It's really about so much more.
Reproductive rights.
Reproductive rights.
By
Yep.
the way, I had a conversation with we talked about it on our Patreon, but found out I have fibroids and was talking about egg freezing, and I talked about it briefly with Mandii. And when I brought it up to Liz, you really fucked my head up the last week, because for one, you're such a liberal person when it comes to any kind of science, medicine, or women's health rights, that when you told me egg freezing is such a capitalist thing, I really never thought of it that way. So basically, I was telling her, like, I have to go freeze my eggs now, right? And you let me talk, and you were kind of like, you're young. You didn't even look into how many eggs you have. And it wasn't like it was me more than it was the doctor. I didn't know what to do. He just told me to do this, right? And on top of that, it's like, how do I even know about my own fertility later? Like, why wouldn't I look into other forms of medicine? But when I realized how much it costs to freeze your eggs and how it is a lot of fear-mongering tactics, like, I'm actually leaning the other way. My mom had me at 40. Not that I plan to have a kid at 40, but like, egg freezing is so common to talk about now that you just think you should be doing it immediately when you're like younger and single because the eggs are healthier. But like, why didn't I think about acupuncture or even taking hormones or any other shit besides let me freeze these eggs?
Well, I think also because a lot of doctors, they only have 8 hours of sexual intake training in medical school.
What?
Yeah. So a lot of times, like, I have 13 nieces and nephews. I have 4 brothers and a sister. We don't all have the same mom, but I've been, around a lot of kids and of different ages. And they all come to me when they first get like, their IUD or birth control. And they just tell me these things. And like, the gynecologist doesn't even ask any questions about like their sexual history, their medical history. They just like, here, take this. And people aren't informed enough about their own bodies that they don't think to ask questions.
And it's so
And
sad that
especially Black women have a really
Especially,
high
yeah.
rate of fibroids.
30%.
Yeah,
I think we said it might be
which
higher.
I was surprised that you didn't know, like before coming into that no one has told you that, because
So I knew that Black women get fibroids, but not
that it's a huge rate.
And then
Yeah.
even on top of that, saying I didn't even know, you're right. Like, I had a friend of mine who had fibroids and only knew because she went in for egg freezing because you have to request an ultrasound.
Yeah, but gynecologists should be informed on a lot of different issues, including like when it comes to racial disparity in medical care. They should be trauma informed, and like we should know these things and question them. Like, oh, you want me to spend like $30,000 on freezing eggs or whatever amount it costs? Like, ask some questions first. It's now just being sold and like, or not for long, right? I think realistically with the way the country's going, but it's like packaged as this thing that makes you a fucking girl boss or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
It
freeze
is.
your eggs, like go have a career. And it's just not that simple.
Well, no, not only that, it's unfortunate that there was a recent study done, and I can't remember the percentage. I actually did have a conversation about this on Period Sis, but recently they've said for Black women who have frozen their eggs or are looking to go through IVF with a sperm donor specifically, that now Black women have to pretty much bank on not having a full Black child because there's not enough either eggs or sperm donors that are Black to fully, create a full Black child. And I did a whole episode where a woman who was a kindergarten teacher, and it was so sad. Like, she made me cry during the episode because she was talking about how she's everyone's mom as a kindergarten teacher. And in terms of her seeking eggs, and it wouldn't be a surrogate. It would just be her receiving an egg from someone else because she had the body of a 57-year-old and she was like 28 or 30 or something like that. And the conversation literally led into the fact that there's not even a lot of Black women able to donate eggs. So the fact that we may be reaching an era
so
where
insane.
you can't freeze your own, but also for women who aren't producing eggs that want to go out and get eggs, they don't even have the option to get Black eggs or Black sperm donors anymore.
Well, I mean, gynecology, like the father of the speculum was a racist motherfucker who was experimenting on slaves. So a lot of the things that we take for granted as like science and fact is based on really broken white supremacist systems, which I go into in this book, that like the whole model of sex education and like the medical sexual system that we're dealing with is based on a broken system. And it's not like it's not teaching like young women and young Black women. These are the things that like you need to know to ask your gynecologist, and it's not teaching gynecologists and doctors. These are the things that you need to know to ask your patients.
Yeah.
Do you have any resources that you used for your book besides like just your experience that you leaned on?
So I mean, well, I have been in the space for like a really long time,
And in the library.
and the library.
You've just been collecting and just like
but I also
you have a lot of
was
data in
working
there.
with the chair of sex and relationship therapy at UCLA for like a number of years. I work with like a lot of professionals and do a lot of contemporary research, but also I think the history is important, like knowing about the white supremacist patriarchal history of like sex and of the medical system is really important because it shows us why we get to a place today when the rate for fibroids for Black women, for example, is so high because they're ignoring you.
Right.
I mean, outside of that, they just also came out with a study that hair straightening products like the relaxers and the perms that are used a lot on Black women with 4C hair to make it straight actually is causing as well higher risks of uterine cancer and breast cancer for Black women as well. So like there's just a lot of things that are now coming to where we've even been forced to look like the European standard of beauty a lot for Black women, and even how we show up. They just passed the Crown Act here in New York
for
a
hair.
couple of years ago. And so now even the products that we were using just to appear aesthetically beautiful to society are also leading to a lot of these harmful
Put Mandi's
diseases.
kufi on.
Oh, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research.
No, she's
and
been
stuff.
dating the Black Muslim guys.
Don't do that. He is not talking to me about hair. Unfortunately, I have Tammy's white ass hair, so I never had to have a relaxer or perm.
Not
So,
unfortunately.
No. Bitch, I be mad it's thin. That's why I'm a bald headed bitch now. It gets,
No, I'm saying if you didn't,
it gets
if you
this
didn't
long, and
use
I'm like
perm
it's
or
giving dead
relaxer,
ends.
like a lot of people are so lucky to have grown up like Gen Z and the younger generation of kids because their moms are not putting shit in their hair. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a friend I know that's putting anything in their kids' hair. Whereas like my mom, and it's not her fault, she's just like, all right, you want me to put you in a ponytail? Like, we're going to use this pack of relaxer. And like, it takes you on a really shitty hair journey. And it's honestly just, we have to unlearn this shit. But anyway, besides hair, the last thing I want to talk about is transcendent sex, because the day I told you I was crying over Love is Blind is the day I fucked that guy.
You cried over Love is Blind, the
I was
TV
in a
show?
mood.
I was like, is it sad? I didn't understand that.
Show?
I thought it was
What
like
did
a
you
reality
cry
dating
over?
show.
I love when people are like falling in love.
Oh,
I think you were like
God.
a little bit hungover.
Girl, watch The
maybe.
Notebook.
Maybe I was. I don't know how I cried. Everybody said that to me. You said, "Is it sad?"
I mean, and here I go. I mean, I've cried on the first 48 before. It's really sad.
But anyway, one of the guys in the pods, and if no one's heard of Love is Blind, basically it's an experiment where two people meet and talk, and they've never seen each other physically, and they fall in love. So this guy is talking about how he had transcendent sex. I'm like, isn't that from Liz's book? And it was one of the last chapters. Can you explain transcendent sex to us?
So, like I said, like breath work can make you high, right? But sex can too. You have an altered state of consciousness, like before you have sex and after you have sex. If you have like a really intense orgasm, you don't feel exactly the same in that moment. You're sort of like almost like out of body. But transcendent sex is this idea that the premise of the whole book is linking your sexuality and your spirituality. So if you can begin to like reframe things that way, then I feel like it is possible to experience really heightened states of bliss and ecstasy with sex.
So that is what transcendent sex is?
In a way.
So it's sex on shrooms.
I was going to say.
I'm like, girl,
it's like reaching it without the shrooms.
It's reaching it without the shrooms.
So the galaxy lights. I reach it just with the galaxy lights sometimes too. What I do. I like it. And then playing ocean waves. I love it. I love both things.
We interviewed somebody that told us he meditates to an Egyptian drum circle before he fucks. And I was kind of sitting there like laughing, but at the same time, I'm like, well, you know what? The sex you have probably is better than mine, because if you're really taking all that time to prep for sex and with the person, that's next level shit.
Well, my ex-boyfriend, he wasn't into Kundalini or spirituality or any of that shit, but I got him to do Kundalini yoga with me, which is again about breath work and muscle control.
They got in for like 30 minutes. She said 2 hours. Do they have shorter sessions?
Yeah, they have shorter sessions.
Okay.
She put us in some shit.
She put you in advance.
They definitely took them to an advanced class. But she can handle it.
But also,
she can handle it.
You know when you're like, oh, let me sign up. She's like, I got it. I couldn't see shit before we got there. I was like, also, it might have been 90 minutes, but
it wasn't 2 hours.
No, it was 90 minutes.
She's exaggerating because it makes the story better.
It was interesting because I'm laughing about it, but also when you start taking it serious, it does work.
It does work. So we were doing this like breath work and this Kundalini together every morning for like a week straight, and I had cervical orgasms so deep I fucking blacked out. Because the sex, we were so connected.
Kundalini, you knew you were. I'm trying to. I want to wake up in a hospital and be like, "What happened?" The guy's like, "I fucked the shit out of you." Oh wow. Put me back. If I'm death by orgasm, great way to go.
Well, you know that the French word for orgasm, la petite mort.
I was gonna say orgasm,
the little death. Yeah,
because
so it's that idea that like,
but you ain't know what it meant.
Yeah,
I did.
She's been to France.
She's been to France. Oh, we know. Everyone watching this show knows that she has been to France.
You know what? I don't know if you'd like to join at some point in time, but if you did, Liz, you'll get it. I walk the streets. It's like the Red Sea.
You eat some snails.
I love an escargot.
She goes shopping.
I just had some. Every time I go to Soho, I go to the little spot we went to for
Balthazar.
Love it. Give me the escargot, please. Where is my bread?
All my French friends, like when I'm eating escargot, they're like, Weezy, like, you can't eat it every meal. Like, it's not even meant to
I love it. It's so filling, actually. Snails is more filling than crudo. Like, I love like some raw fish. Snails be getting me. I be like, that's all I need.
They're like soaked in butter. And garlic.
Is it the butter that makes
it so good, and like a little bit.
Is that what's making it filling?
When they put that
not the meat.
Is the beurre.
No, it's so small.
Bitch, I be full. That thing.
And then also you're taking the bread and you're sopping it up. It's a thing. Anyway,
we're about to orgasm.
We didn't even talk about the sex ed. I was just going to say, tell people where to find you, but yeah, please tell them.
Yeah, you can find us. We have a podcast, The Sex Ed, that I host. You can find us on the internet at The Sex Ed, where we have tons of resources, a Sexpedia, which is like,
come on, Sexpedia,
a living Wikipedia of sex terms. And you can find us on Instagram at The Sex Ed and me at Goldilocks G.
How often, real quick, do you update as well that Sexpedia? Because there's always
all the time
new words.
All the time, and I love throwing in things like strobe light honey.
What the heck?
I love
what's
some like
strobe light honey.
You guys are obviously not familiar with 90s hip hop.
Girl,
we weren't
fucking. I was born in the 90s.
You don't listen to like old hip hop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Strobe light honey is a song name?
No, it's like a colloquialism. It's like a slang term.
What the hell is a colloquialism?
It's like a slang term.
Colloquialism.
Did I just pull some white shit? Some white nerd shit?
Colloquialism.
Not a white shit word. Wait, what song is that?
It's a library word. Lots of songs. Strobe light honey. You need to ask Amir about what a strobe light honey is.
because let me tell you, Liz, everybody wants to joke about how I hang with a legend and don't know none of his songs. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, but he will school you on 90s hip hop, and
it's
he
too
will explain
intense,
to you.
though. That's my point. Every time
A
he
strobe light honey is a honey that looks hot under the strobe lights, but not so good when you get her home from the club. That's a strobe light honey.
Isn't that a butterhead?
Well, it's just an updated term.
Butterface, butterhead, tip drill.
Everything looks good.
Girl,
Yeah.
we in tip drill by the early 2000s. It turned into tip drill.
No, we're 2000s hip
Must
hop.
be ass because it ain't her face. You know.
But if you listen to like Tribe Called Quest or like De La Soul.
I know De La Soul, girl.
Okay,
Don't come on now.
Well, they're not
Come on
available.
now.
You know,
We
they're
just can't
not
name a
available
song.
on streaming. You can't stream them on Spotify.
So I'm not
My
a strobe
point.
light.
So,
honey.
am I supposed to get on YouTube?
No,
Like,
you're a hot bitch.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look good under like full studio lights.
Is hot bitch in there?
It's not.
What
but
is the
maybe
definition?
It should be. But I did include wet ass pussy, a WAP in the book.
Okay.
That
Which
was
is
really cute.
footnoted because
Okay.
Middle America might not be familiar
Oh
with
man,
the term.
they know what WAP is now. The way the
No, they don't.
The way the politicians put it on Fox News and CNN,
Bro.
and we're upset. Middle America know what WAP
I
is
feel
by
like
now.
we think people know, but shout out to Hannah Berner. We've had her on the show. She has a video with her brother, who I think she said lives in Idaho or something, and she starts showing him influencers. One black one. It was Hailey Bieber, Bella Hadid, all kinds
Those
of
aren't influencers. Those are fucking $1 million models.
Kylie Jenner. He couldn't name anyone.
No, people just have their own frame of reference. We
They
were
really
out to
don't
dinner
know.
the other night with someone, and we were talking about Charlemagne.
Charlemagne.
And
Not
she,
Charlemagne.
No, Charlemagne.
Oh.
Charlemagne. She didn't know who he was. And she and I just in unison was like, you don't? Couldn't believe.
Wow.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This person that we were out with is very famous.
Very successful
I
business
was
person.
shocked, bro.
Yeah.
Like I at one point I thought it was a joke, and then Liz was like trying to give her some.
I was like, you don't listen to
she's
the
like, "You know,
Breakfast Club? She's like, what? No.
Oh.
I just think people have like everybody has like a different frame of reference.
I mean, that's the same way, like for me. I don't know these TikTokers. My homegirls will hit me up about like certain rappers, baby mamas. Who? I don't know who
No,
this.
no.
I'm also not in
The Breakfast Club. I don't think we can compare to that because it's its own. Like how many years? 15 now.
Yeah.
Like come on, bro.
there's
And
a
also
lot,
he's a mogul.
but there's a lot of people like on Barstool, like, or even podcasters. When I'm looking at like the top 50, there's so many people that garner millions and millions of views. I'll be like, never heard of
Bro,
them.
people have
Like,
shit the bed about like a lot of white podcasts. Because I told you, Dear Media has been coming to my studio, and Andrew, not Schultz. I'm thinking Santino. You know who that is?
I'm still freaking about the story about the one white.
Oh, no, I was talking about
I
her.
don't want to say her name.
Somebody asked me to
but
fetch some
asked
water,
her to
Mandii.
fetch
Wait, they said
water.
fetch water?
Yeah,
Said the
she
word
used the word
fetch.
fetch.
Like he was
Fetch me some water.
was she from Europe or something? Like, did she have an accent?
No,
Maybe
I
fetch meant
wasn't. I
something
wasn't
else.
there. No, she's American.
American.
but here's the
It's
thing.
American.
She really said it like
Fetch me some water.
Yeah, fetch
She
me
just
some
put her
water.
hand.
Oh,
But,
because
like,
like I'm adding shit down.
one of the
Fetch me
engineers
some
was like,
water.
"Oh, this is Weezy." This is what I was telling you. Oh, hey, would you mind fetching me some water?
Maybe she was trying to make fetch a word. Maybe she had just, you know what I mean?
She just watched Mean
Was-
Girls.
She just watched Mean Girls.
No.
Maybe she was trying to make fetch it, you know?
I don't remember how. I remember telling her I don't really fetch around here, but but like no, the podcast Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Whiskey Ginger. These are huge podcasts that like I'd never heard of, and I do think we get in our own box. And you know, there's a lot of people that don't know who we are, right?
Absolutely.
But we're big in our own sphere, and like it's that kind of shit. But I do my best to try to like figure out across the board who the people are. You know what I mean?
But sometimes like you have to break down language for people, or you have to like explain things more. That's why in the book there's all these footnotes. No, I had to argue with my publisher that lost in the sauce is like a real term that people use. They're like, that isn't a thing. I was like, yes, it is. That's also
Wow.
that's
I say that
also
a
a hip
lot.
hop phrase. Me too.
I mean, I ain't gonna hold
Especially
you.
on development calls, I'm like, okay, everybody's getting a little lost in the sauce here.
But I'm dealing with a self-help publisher who publishes like Wim Hof and Brene Brown and like
Brene Brown
Thich Nhat Hanh.
is one of
They
the
don't-
names though
they
that
don't-
are people don't know either. Maybe
Yeah.
that listen to Whoreible and is
She's huge. She's amazing, and she talks a lot about vulnerability. But what I'm saying is, people who are in the self-help space, they may not be so familiar with hip hop.
right.
Some of them, as it turns out, because I had a lot of hip hop references in this book that the copy editor was like, I don't understand.
Girl, I hope you send them the Google reference. Here you go. Don't ask me again. We keeping it in. Next.
Whenever someone tells me they don't understand something I'm saying and I'm in an email, I just always read it. I'm like, she is calling me the N-word. She said right here. This is it. Bitch. This is it.
Liz, please also let us know where everyone can purchase your book before we get out of here.
They can buy the book anywhere you buy books.
There we go. Ooh,
yeah.
another flex.
Amazon.
Audible.
Everywhere.
No, I mean, I feel like most people buy books on the internet now. Although
Amazon,
I think
I do.
it's really good to support your local bookseller, but
Okay.
because they're, but yeah, Amazon, Audible, my publisher Sounds True, our site, the Sex Ed.
I love it. I
Bookshop.
love it. I love it. Well, 5 years later, thank you for coming back on Whoreible
Thank
Decisions.
you for having me.
This was so much fun. And guys, we hope that you enjoyed this episode as well. Make sure to support us and to get bonus content. You head on over to Patreon. That is patreon.com/Whoreible Decisions.
We have
No
hundreds
accents.
of episodes on there. Hundreds of
Hundreds,
episodes.
literal hundreds, plus BTS. And if you are one of our top tier patrons, once a month we do a town hall where you get to join us on Zoom and be a part of an episode. So again, make sure you join us at patreon.com/Whoreible Decisions to check out what that sounds like. We're leaving you with a 5-minute bonus clip after this. And this has been yet another episode of Whoreible Decisions. Bye.